Happy holidays, guys. Good to see you. Deeksy here, wishing you again also another Merry Christmas. Hope you enjoyed some time with family and friends. I know I personally did. So just wanted to jump on here really quick because I had some time today. Why not? And the Canadiens actually had some news today, and this matters. This is actually something of substance to talk about here, as Jakub Dobes, goaltender Yakob Dobes, has been recalled from the Laval Rocket, his first call up to the NHL since being drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in 2020. He was selected in the 5th round, 136th overall. As we know, Cayden Primeau has not been playing with the Canadiens lately. Sam Montembeault has started the last 10 games in a row, right? It's going to be 11 most likely tomorrow against Florida. And clearly the jury is pretty well out on Cayden Primeau. And, looking back at Primeau's career and everything, drafted in 2017 in the 7th round, 199th overall. So I think the expectations were that Primeau was quite a steal in the 7th round, and there was a lot more expectations for him early on in his career. But the fact is, he just has not panned out with the Montreal Canadiens. Things have not worked out in his favor, and now we're seeing another goalie get an opportunity here, right? Things are really starting to shift in the goaltender realm for the Canadiens. So we should note that Dobes and Primeau are both due for new contracts at the end of this season. And Dobes is 23 years old. And actually, if you look at the IMDb page for Jakub Dobes, it's pretty full. He's played for a lot of teams, and we know that he's from Czechia. He's 6'5". He's a big goalie. And it's funny because Cayden Primeau is 6'3", and you don't really think he doesn't really look 6'3", but Carey Price was also 6'3", and you could tell that Carey he just looked taller and bigger in the net. So it must be an equipment thing or the style of goaltender that the way that they played may have made a difference too there. But regardless, Yakob Dobes is the guy right now. And I looked at Laval stats this season, and I wanted to see why is he getting the call instead of Connor Hughes, for example, who's also playing goal for the Laval Rocket. And Connor Hughes is actually much older. He's actually 28 and has had a much longer career overall, playing with several different teams, several different leagues, including the Swiss League, where he played the majority of his goaltending career. So it's clear here that Dobes is getting an opportunity to really step up and make a difference here for the Canadiens and actually put in some game time. And we saw him play in the preseason against the Toronto Maple Leafs. We all thought he looked pretty good in just the one game of game action we saw against the Leafs there. But, now he's had some time to develop with Laval. And we should note also that Connor Hughes and Jakub Dobes have both played 14 games apiece for the Laval Rocket this season. And if you look at Dobes here, his save percentage numbers are a little bit better. His win percentage is better. So he comes in currently, Jakub Dobes, with a .910 save percentage, a 2.44 goals against average, almost identical to that of Connor Hughes, just a point percentage different. Connor Hughes has a 2.45 goals against average right now this season. And with Dobes here, he has a 9-3-1 record with the Laval Rocket right now. So having himself a pretty decent season, and now it's the opportunity. This is the chance to really get a chance to see him. And I want to give a shout out to one of my viewers, Tom, who I haven't seen in the comment box for a little while, but Tom actually was singing Dobes praises a couple of years ago and was telling me about him. I heard about Dobes first. After we'd already drafted him, of course, but we hadn't really had him on the radar until Tom put him on my radar. So shout out to you, Tom, if you're watching. But I just wanted to mention that here. This really is an interesting time because we're starting to get the sense that Jacob Fowler could sign with the Montreal Canadiens as early as in the new year, sometime after his collegiate season is completed. Fowler is enjoying another very successful season so far with Boston College. His record is 11-2-1, a save percentage of .933, and it should be noted about Jacob Fowler and how touted he is right now to be the next number one goalie of the future for the Canadiens, that his save percentage throughout his entire career so far is nowhere lower than .921. That's a pretty remarkable number, and the Canadiens selected Fowler, as we know, in the 2023 NHL entry draft, 69th overall in the 3rd round. So clearly they did see Fowler, and we know the draft video story and everything about how there was a guy literally pounding the table from the Canadian scouts, practically begging Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes to select Jacob Fowler. He was willing to go to bat for him big time, and clearly the numbers, they show he's a winner. So it's not going to be much longer before we possibly could be looking at a tandem of the future if if Yakob Dobes pans out with the Canadiens, of Jacob Fowler and Yakob Dobes as your two goalies. I say that now. I know it's very early, but it's not impossible. And certainly these are the two top goaltending prospects that the Canadiens have right now outside of their current starter, Samuel Montembeault. But Monty's 28. He's going to be 29 next year. I think he may age himself out eventually, but there's no rush for Dobes or Fowler to develop with the Canadiens. They'll get their time. But it's just nice to see Dobes get an opportunity here when clearly the Canadiens have decided that they just can't trust Caden Primo at this point anymore. And by the end of this season or even before it, there's a good chance that he could be moving on from the Canadiens. If he doesn't, then he doesn't, but his contract is up, and we're going to see how Dobes performs. Let's see if he plays against Tampa on Sunday. That's maybe the idea right now, is the Canadiens are going to give him a start this weekend. I mean, you're not going to want to waste development time down in Laval, him not being there. You want to get him into games, so we're likely going to see Samuel Montembeault start against Florida, maybe see Dobes make his NHL debut against Tampa, and then Sammy goes back in net to hopefully get vengeance against Vegas. The game that I was at, he got shelled for 5 goals in the second period, but that's the plan right now, I believe. Quick little shout out to Ivan Demidov. Oh my gosh, sometimes I still can't believe we got him. I still can't. It's still surreal to me. Anyway, I can't wait for him to get here. He's got 4 goals in his last 4 games with SKA St. Petersburg. So shout out to him because that's exciting. It's too bad we can't see him play in the World Junior Tournament, but it is what it is. At least he's playing, and he's playing in a men's league, developing. The more minutes he gets, the more this guy puts points up on the board and just dazzles and shows that he can really do. So I can't wait for him to get here. We haven't got an update on Patrick Laine just yet from the Canadiens, but I assume we will tomorrow, of course, before the game. And I have things to say about his comments before playing Columbus the other night, and he got removed from the game with an upper body injury, we were told. But I have a lot of thoughts on those comments that he made. I don't really have a big problem with a lot of what he had to say, actually. So I'll talk about that in another episode. I'm hoping to have Shane Gaumont on very soon, and we'll talk about Laine's comments. To me, it's already in the past, and we're probably going to forget about it soon enough, but especially if he comes back and starts scoring goals again. But that's all I got, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you make of the call-up for Yakob Dobes? Are you excited? What are your expectations for Dobes? Let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you soon, guys. Cheers.